The great hall of the Varelian palace was silent, except for the soft footsteps echoing on the shiny floor. Queen Areola stood tall, her many eyes fixed on the strange figure before her. He was unlike any alien she had ever seen. Skin was pale, his hair a messy brown, and his eyes full of nervous hope. "You brought a human?" the queen asked in her deep, calm voice. Princess Zalira nodded, her eyes bright with defiance. "He is my husband." The room seemed to hold its breath. Daniel Carter, the human, looked around nervously. The Varelians were tall and elegant, with shimmering skin that changed color with their moods. Their faces had many features. Some had long, delicate limbs. Others had sharp, glowing eyes. Daniel felt small and plain among them, but he stood straight, holding Zalira's hand. Queen Ariala's many eyes narrowed. "Do you understand what this means, Zalira? Bringing a human into the palace, into our bloodline, breaks tradition. It is unheard of. You risk the future of our empire." Zalira's voice was steady. "I know what it means, Mother, but I also know what love means." A murmur ran through the assembled council. The royal advisors and nobles whispered to each other, some shocked, others curious. Daniel looked at Zalira and smiled. She had told him so much about the Varelians, about their strict rules, their pride in their heritage, and their fear of humans. And yet she had chosen him, a simple human from Earth, a species seen as wild, unpredictable, and weak. But Daniel was not weak. He had survived wars and storms, and he had found hope in the stars, had met Zalira during the peace talks between Earth and the Varelian Empire, a mission to end a long silence between their peoples. They had connected over music, laughter, and stories of their worlds. In the cold halls of diplomacy, love had blossomed. Now, standing in the heart of the alien empire, Daniel knew the hardest challenge lay ahead. Queen Areola's voice cut through the whispers. "You bring a human into our royal family. The council has rules. They will not accept this marriage. You must understand, daughter, that bloodlines matter." Zalira lifted her chin. "The people of Earth have their own strengths. They build, create, and hope. I married Daniel because I believe in what humanity can bring, not just to me, but to all of us." The queen sighed deeply. "Very well. We will not annul your marriage without a trial. Daniel Carter, you must prove yourself worthy of the Varelian Empire. Only then can we accept you." Daniel nodded. "I accept your trial." The queen gestured to the council. "The tasks? You will have 3 challenges, to test your heart, your mind, and your spirit." The council began to speak in their soft, melodic language. Planning Daniel's trial? After the meeting, Zalira took Daniel's hand. "It will not be easy, but I believe in you." Daniel smiled. "I'm ready." That night, Daniel lay in a guest room unlike any he had seen. The walls glowed softly with colors that changed like a calm ocean. He looked out the window at the 2 moons shining over the palace gardens. He thought about Earth, about the people he had left behind, and about the future waiting here. He wondered how the Varelians would judge him. Could a simple human win their respect? Could love truly cross the stars? The next morning, Daniel met the first group of Varelian engineers. They were tall and thin, with fingers like crystal tools. Working on a plasma reactor, the power source for the palace. "The reactor is failing," said Lyra, the chief engineer. "If it stops, the palace will lose power. No one can fix it, except someone who thinks outside the usual ways." Daniel watched as they tried complicated methods that failed. He noticed a small leak in a valve. Without thinking much, he grabbed some duct tape from his bag and wrapped it around the leak. Then, using a coffee filter and a small cloth, he filtered impurities from the coolant. The engineers looked at him in surprise. Slowly, the reactor began to stabilize. Lyra smiled. "Your ideas are strange, but effective. You passed the first test." Daniel laughed. "I guess humans do have a few tricks." Next came the test of etiquette. The queen hosted a grand dinner with nobles and diplomats. Daniel had to attend and behave according to Varelian custom silent greetings. Direct eye contact, delicate hand gestures. At first Daniel stumbled. mixed up names, and even spilled a drink. The nobles whispered, some scowling, but Daniel didn't hide. When asked why he made mistakes, he smiled and said, "I am human. I learn with kindness and laughter." Princess Zelira whispered, "Just be yourself," and Daniel did. He told a small joke about earth food, which made even the stiffest nobles laugh. Slowly the room warmed to him. The queen watched carefully. Daniel's honesty was refreshing. The third test was a public debate in the council chamber. Daniel had to speak about Earth's future in the Galactic Union. He stood before many serious faces. He spoke not of power or technology, but of humanity's struggles and hope. "We are flawed," he said. "We fight, we fail, but we never stop trying. Our creativity and resilience are our strength. We may be young, but we dream big." Some council members looked doubtful. Others listened quietly. Behind the scenes, some nobles whispered dark plans to remove Daniel. They feared change, but others began to see him differently. Queen Ariola's gaze softened. Daniel was not just a stranger, it was a new hope. As the trials ended, Daniel waited for the queen's final word. Zelira stood beside him. "No matter what happens, I am proud of you." Daniel smiled. "And we'll keep trying." And in the great hall, under alien stars, a human stood tall, ready to change a galaxy. The sun had not yet risen over the Varelian Empire when Daniel woke up. The soft light of the twin moons still shone through the tall windows of the guest room. The queen had set 3 tasks to test him, and Daniel had completed the first 2. Now the hardest part remained. He looked at the note in his hand. The queen wanted him to attend a formal diplomatic dinner tonight. It was a chance to prove he could fit into Varelian society and show respect to their customs. Daniel felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Princess Zelira sat beside him as he dressed. "Remember, Daniel, just be honest. You don't need to be perfect." Daniel smiled. "I will try, but what if I fail?" Zelira took his hand. "Then I will stand by you, always." The grand hall was filled with glowing crystals and shining metals. Long tables stretched across the room, decorated with strange flowers and delicate lights. Varelian nobles and diplomats moved with grace and silence, dressed in shimmering robes that changed color. Daniel followed Zelira carefully, bowing and greeting with the delicate hand gestures he had practiced. But he could feel the eyes on him, some curious, some cold. At the head of the table, Queen Ariola sat proudly. She watched Daniel carefully, her many eyes blinking slowly. Daniel tried to remember all the customs. No direct eye contact, no loud speech, no sudden moves. But as he sat, he accidentally knocked over a small glass. The red liquid spilled on the tablecloth. Gasps filled the room. Daniel's face turned red. "I am sorry," he said softly. An old noblewoman with pale blue skin smiled kindly. "It is okay, young one. We all make mistakes." Daniel relaxed slightly, but still felt awkward. When the servants brought dishes, he did not recognize glowing fruits and soft, shimmering bread. He hesitated. He decided to be honest. "On Earth, we eat simple food like bread and cheese. Your food looks beautiful." Laughter came from one corner. A young noble leaned toward him. "Humans are strange," she said with a smile. Daniel smiled back. "Maybe, but sometimes strange is good." Slowly, Daniel began to relax. He told stories of Earth's simple, joyous-playing games in the rain, watching sunsets, and sharing meals with friends. His words were honest and kind. The nobles listened. Queen Ariola's expression softened. Daniel was not perfect, but he was real. After the dinner, the queen gave Daniel a new challenge, a debate before the council on Earth's place in the Galactic Union. The council chamber was a huge room with tall ceilings and walls that shimmered with light. Council members sat in a circle, their many eyes watching Daniel closely. The topic was serious, as many feared that Earth would bring chaos, weakness, or worse, war. Daniel stood in front of them, heart beating fast. He looked around at the alien faces. He began, "Esteemed council members, I come before you not as a warrior, but as a human. Our world is young and sometimes flawed. We have made mistakes. We have fought wars. But we have also dreamed of peace, of friendship beyond stars. He paused, letting his words sink in. Humanity is different. We do not have the strength of the Varelians or the wisdom of the Eldari, but we have heart. We have hope. We learn from failure, and we keep trying. The council was quiet. Some looked doubtful. Others seemed moved. Daniel continued. If you accept us, you will not only gain a new member, you will gain a new way of seeing the galaxy, a way full of courage, kindness, and creativity. When Daniel finished, a council member named Theric spoke. His voice was calm but firm. Your words are hopeful, human, but hope alone is not enough. How do we know your kind will not bring destruction? Daniel smiled. You don't, but you do know we have survived. We have built and created even in darkness. Give us a chance. We will prove ourselves. Back in the palace, Daniel learned that some nobles were unhappy. They believed humans were dangerous. They whispered to each other, plotting to stop Daniel's acceptance. One noble, Lord Varric, was especially cruel. Humans will never be equals, he said to his followers. They are too weak, too unpredictable. But others were curious. Lady Mirren, a young noble, found herself drawn to Daniel's honesty. She watched him closely as he moved through the palace. She admired how he never tried to hide his mistakes, how he always spoke with kindness. Even Queen Areola was conflicted. She had been raised to fear change, but Daniel's spirit touched something deep inside her. One afternoon, Daniel and Zalira walked through the palace gardens. The flowers glowed softly, and the 2 moons shone in the sky. Zalira looked at Daniel. Do you think I was right to bring you here? Daniel took her hand. I don't know. But I do know this love is stronger than fear. If we keep trying, maybe we can change their minds. Zalira smiled. I believe we will. That night, the council met again. The queen announced a final test, one that surprised everyone. Daniel Carter, she said, you will spend 3 days with me alone. No distractions. I want to see who you are beyond trials and speeches. Daniel was shocked. Me alone with the queen. Zalira squeezed his hand. It's a chance to show your true self, Daniel agreed. The queen led him to a special chamber where they would stay. The next days were quiet, but full of conversation. Daniel and Queen Areola spoke of many things. He told her stories of Earth, the simple acts of kindness, small joys. She shared memories of her lost mate, a pain she had hidden for many years. Daniel listened with care. He cooked simple earth, food for her warm bread, sweet fruit and tea. She was surprised by the comfort it brought. At times the queen asked hard questions about humanity's flaws. Daniel answered honestly, never hiding the truth. Slowly a bond grew between them. One built on respect and understanding. Meanwhile, the palace buzzed with rumors. The nobles who opposed Daniel claimed he used strange powers to win the queen's favor. Zalira ignored the whispers. She trusted Daniel. On the last night of the 3 days, the queen dreamed of her late mate. In her dream, she saw Daniel's kind face beside her, smiling softly. When she woke, her heart was lighter. She had made a choice. The next morning, Queen Areola summoned the council. She would give her decision. Daniel stood beside Zalira, ready for whatever came next. The morning sun cast soft golden light through the tall windows of the palace chamber where Daniel sat with Queen Areola. It was the first day of the queen's final test, the 3 days they were to spend together, alone without Princess Zalira. Daniel felt nervous but determined. This test was different from the others. It was not about cleverness or diplomacy. It was about who he truly was, the man behind the human. Queen Areola looked at Daniel with her many eyes, searching. You have passed the trials, Daniel Carter, but the final question remains. Can you live here, in our world, with all its differences and expectations? Daniel nodded. I want to try.
The queen stood
and gestured toward the window.
Come.
Let us talk. They walked through the palace gardens, where strange plants glowed softly in the early light. The air smelled of sweet flowers and fresh rain. Queen Areola began to speak quietly. I have lived for centuries. I've seen empires rise and fall, I have ruled with logic and tradition, but I have never understood something called love. Daniel looked at her, surprised. Love is not always easy. Sometimes it is the hardest thing in the world. She smiled sadly. My mate died long ago. Since then, I have carried the burden of duty alone. Daniel listened. On Earth, we say that love is both strength and weakness. It can make us brave and also hurt us deeply. But without love, life feels empty. The Queen's eyes softened. What is it like on Earth? How do humans show love? Daniel thought for a moment. We do small things. We cook for each other, share stories, hold hands. Sometimes we don't have words, just actions. The Queen seemed curious. That afternoon, Daniel decided to cook for her a simple Earth meal. He gathered ingredients from the palace kitchen: soft bread, sweet fruits, and fresh tea. As they ate, Daniel told stories of Earth's simple joys: children playing in the rain, families sharing meals, music that lifts the spirit. The Queen listened with quiet wonder. On the second day, their conversation deepened. Queen Areola spoke of her fears. I worry for my daughter. She chose you, a human, and for that she risks much. Will you protect her? Daniel took her hand gently. I love Zalira more than anything. I will do everything to keep her safe and happy. She looked into his eyes. And yourself. Can you live without the comforts of your home? Without Earth's sky and air? Daniel smiled. I carry Earth with Min in my heart, and with her I am never alone. The Queen nodded slowly. While Daniel and the Queen shared these quiet moments, whispers grew louder in the palace. Lord Varric and his followers met in secret. We must stop this madness, he said. A human has no place in our bloodline. We will spread doubt and fear. But others, like Lady Mirren, whispered back, perhaps we should learn from Daniel. Perhaps he shows us something new. The third day, Daniel and Queen Areola walked through the palace's ancient library. A vast hall filled with glowing books and floating lights. The Queen stopped before a mural of her ancestors. They would never accept this marriage, she said. Do you fear their judgment? Daniel shook his head. I do not. I am not one of your ancestors. I am human, and I want to build a new future. She looked at him closely. Courage. Not just the courage of a warrior, but the courage to be yourself. Daniel smiled. That is all I can offer. That night the Queen had a dream. In her dream, she stood beside her lost mate beneath the stars. The stars shone like diamonds. Then, beside her mate, appeared Daniel's face, kind and calm. She reached out, and the dream faded. When she awoke, the Queen knew her decision. The next morning, Queen Areola dressed in her royal robes and summoned the council. The chamber filled quickly with nobles and advisors. She stood tall, her many eyes shining with determination. Council members, she began, Daniel Carter has passed the trials. More than that, he has shown me the heart of humanity. She paused. I accept this marriage. Daniel is worthy. He shall be named consort to Princess Zalira. Gasps filled the chamber. Lord Varric rose, anger in his voice.
Your Majesty, this is folly. A human cannot belong to our bloodline.
This breaks tradition and threatens our future. The Queen raised her hand. Tradition is important, but it must not chain us to fear. Humanity's courage to love teaches us new strength. She looked at Daniel and Zalira. Earth will join the Galactic Union. Together, we can build a better galaxy. Some nobles protested, but the Queen's voice was firm. After the meeting, the palace burst into celebration. Music and lights filled the halls as Earth and Varelian traditions blended in joy. Zalira held Daniel close. You did it, Daniel smiled. We did it, together. Queen Areola approached them, her expression softer than before. Daniel, you must teach others what it means to be human. Show them kindness and courage. Daniel bowed. I will try. But far beyond the palace, another message arrived, a warning from a distant alien empire. The Dracs. They did not accept Earth's entry into the Union. They demanded the marriage be undone. Zelira's smile faded. Daniel's heart tightened. The fight was not over. The grand hall of the Varelian palace was filled with tension. Word of the Draxeries' demand had spread quickly. Their message was clear. The marriage between Princess Zelira and Daniel Carter must be ended, or the Galactic Union would face serious consequences. Queen Areola sat at the head of the council chamber, her many eyes steady and calm. Around her, nobles whispered anxiously. Some feared war. Others hoped for peace. Daniel stood beside Zelira, holding her hand tightly. He felt the weight of the moment. This was no longer just about him or the princess. It was about Earth's future among the stars. The council meeting began. Lord Varric rose quickly, his voice sharp. "Your Majesty, the Draxeries speak with power. They threaten us. To protect the Empire, we must end this marriage. Humans are dangerous and unpredictable. We cannot risk our bloodline." Lady Mirren, a young noble who had slowly grown to respect Daniel, stood next. "We cannot judge an entire people by fear. Daniel has shown honor and courage. Our empire must grow with new ideas and friends." More voices rose, some for, some against. Queen Areola raised her hand. Silence fell. "My counsel," she said, "we face a choice, to yield to fear or to embrace hope." She turned to Daniel. "You have proven yourself. But now, you face the hardest challenge." Daniel looked back. "I am ready." The Queen proposed a peaceful solution, a cultural exchange event where humans and aliens would share their stories, music, and traditions. It would show the galaxy who humanity truly was, the council agreed. Though some grudged the idea, days passed as preparations began. The palace buzzed with activity. Human musicians tuned their instruments. Varelian artists painted vibrant murals. The air was alive with excitement and worry. Daniel worked hard, helping organize the event. He wanted the galaxy to see Earth's heart, not weapons or power, but kindness and creativity. The day of the event arrived. The palace's grand hall transformed into a festival of light and sound. Aliens from many worlds gathered, curious and cautious. Daniel stepped forward to speak. "Welcome, friends from across the stars," he said simply. "I am Daniel Carter, a human from Earth. Today I do not speak of technology or war. I speak of music, stories, and friendship." He motioned, and human musicians began to play soft melodies. Then, dancers performed, telling stories of Earth's history and hope. Many aliens were moved. Some wiped tears. Others smiled in wonder. A Draxery ambassador, a tall figure with dark-scaled skin, watched closely. At first, he showed no emotion. But as a small human child told a story of friendship across worlds, the ambassador's eyes softened. After the event, the ambassador approached the Queen. "We see now what humanity brings," he said quietly. "Not strength or power, but heart." Queen Areola nodded. "We all have much to learn." The Draxery withdrew their demand. Earth's place in the Galactic Union was accepted. The Queen announced a new title for Daniel, the Bridge of Worlds. He was no longer just a human. He was a symbol of unity. In the palace gardens, Daniel and Zelira walked under the light of twin moons. "We did it," Zelira whispered. Daniel smiled. "We changed the galaxy by just being human." The stars no longer seemed distant or cold. They looked like home. The palace was quiet as dawn broke over the Varelian Empire. The celebrations for Earth's acceptance into the Galactic Union were still fresh, but the future remained uncertain. The message from the Draxery had tested everyone's resolve. But it was clear that the galaxy was changing. Daniel Carter stood on a balcony overlooking the sprawling palace gardens. Beside him, Princess Zelira held his hand gently. The two moons shone softly, casting a calm light over the alien landscape. "Do you think it will last?" Daniel asked quietly. Zelira smiled. "It has to. We've come too far to turn back now." But change was never easy. Not long after the celebrations, the Draxery sent a new delegation to the palace. Their faces were serious, their voices cautious. "We do not seek war," the Draxri ambassador said. "But we must understand humanity more before we can fully accept Earth's place here." Queen Ariala welcomed them with dignity. "Then let us begin with understanding, not fear." Daniel took the lead. He proposed a cultural exchange that went beyond formal events, one that would allow aliens to see human life up close. Not just stories or music, he explained, but real moments. "The everyday kindness that makes us human," the Queen agreed. Over the next weeks, the palace opened its doors to diplomats, artists, and curious visitors. They shared meals, laughter, and even small acts of kindness. One day, a group of young Draxri visitors came to meet Daniel. They were curious about human childhood and friendship. Daniel smiled and introduced them to Mira, a young Earth child, who had come with the delegation. Mira told stories of playing in parks, making friends from different countries, and sharing toys. The Draxri listened, fascinated. One ambassador said, "We thought humans were only fighters and conquerors. But here we see something different. Hope." Slowly, the hard walls of fear and suspicion began to break. The Galactic Union held a special ceremony to welcome Earth. The Queen stood proudly as Daniel and Zalira took their place among the leaders of many worlds. The Union was no longer just about power or politics. It was about connection in private moments. Daniel and Zalira dreamed of the future. They spoke of children who would grow up knowing many worlds, many peoples, friendships that crossed stars, of a galaxy changed, not by weapons, but by hearts. One evening, as they walked through the palace gardens, Daniel paused. "Do you remember the day we first met?" he asked. Zalira laughed softly. "How could I forget? You were awkward and lost, but your heart was clear." Daniel smiled. "I've learned much since then, about courage, love, and hope." Zalira took his hand. "And you have taught us all that being human means more than where we come from. It means who we choose to be." Under the light of twin moons, they stood together, looking up at the stars. The galaxy no longer felt distant or cold. It was a home waiting to be shared, and humanity had found its place among the stars, not through power or fear, through love and courage.